There we go. Okay.
Okay, so welcome. Thank you for coming, Sheila.
Pleasure.
Yeah. So the agenda first, we'll give you guys a little background on the Goodlawyer story, how Goodlawyer came to be. Then we'll tell you a little bit about what Goodlawyer is all about. We'll show you some of the resources that we have to offer. I'll do a quick demo of the platform, and then we can wrap up with some questions. So, Katie?
Give the Goodlawyer story. I mean, to be fair, the man in that picture is Tom on the left. The guy in the middle is Brett, our CEO. And then on the right, that's Parker. He is our CTO. And so, yeah, essentially these three guys started all together at the very beginning. It's been 2 years now, correct, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, Brett, the CEO, actually worked at a giant law firm, but he was seeing that there's a disconnect to people being actually able to access the legal needs that they had. So they either didn't have enough money to go to the big firms and get their questions answered, or they didn't qualify for legal aid. So they're kind of stuck in this gray area of not being able to get the answers that they needed. And so Brett actually stepped away from the big firm to try and solve that problem, which led him to Goodlawyer.
Yes. So a little bit about Goodlawyer. First and foremost, we are not a law firm. So we don't actually employ or hire any of our lawyers. We are a platform that connects entrepreneurs, small businesses, and startups across Canada with business-minded lawyers that are ready to help faster and more affordably than ever. So we source independent solo lawyers across Canada, and we essentially are bridging the gap between these customers and these lawyers. And just due to the inherent increases in efficiency that our platform provides for lawyers, they're able to drastically reduce their prices because it costs them a lot less in overhead, admin, etc., to actually find and service their clients now that Goodlawyer is basically, spoon feeding them these highly qualified clients. So like I mentioned earlier, we have two flagship services. So our first flagship service are called advice sessions. So these are 15-minute calls with a lawyer where you can book a time, you can select a time, select a lawyer, and your lawyer will actually call you at that time, and they'll give you 15 minutes of legal advice based on some questions that you submitted before the call. Our second flagship service are contract reviews. So these are $25 per page contract reviews, and the lawyer will go over your contract, they'll mark it up, they'll make some comments, etc., and then they'll send you that markup and call you to explain all of their comments and give you some advice on what you should do, depending on what they find in your contract. And beyond that, we offer basically any legal service that a small business could ever need on an upfront quote. There's no billable hours, and you don't pay until after your service is completed. So we have about 30 fixed fee services right now, which are the most common services that most businesses need, and we've set Goodlawyer prices for all of those services that can just give people a general idea, a general ballpark of the pricing. But typically we're about half the price of the national average for any larger services. So I'll show you guys the pricing page here in a minute when I do the demo, but yeah, you'll be able to see that we've got all of these prices up front. No surprise fees, no billable hours. So beyond our actual legal services, Goodlawyer offers a ton of free resources for people. So the first primary free resource that we have are our free weekly legal webinars. So we cover a wide variety of legal topics for businesses, whether it's when and how to incorporate, contracts, intellectual property, hiring people, etc. We've got a pretty wide gamut of topics that we're starting to cover now. And a lot of those topics we figure out based on our partnerships. So we'll, for example, partner with Resource YYC, and maybe you guys are always getting questions about contracts. We can tailor a webinar around contracts for you guys. So after the webinars, we've got a podcast that we're doing weekly, bi-weekly. It's about every week or two, and we'll put out a new episode where we talk to different startups about just basically, you know, their journey so far, any legal struggles they've ran into, etc. And we also have episodes featuring some pretty prominent people within the legal industry discussing the future of law and the future of legal innovation. So super interesting podcast. I know I'm a little biased, but I really do enjoy it.
I can also
Third,
say too, with the podcast, we're always looking for new upcoming startup businesses, entrepreneurs in our community who want to have a platform to talk about what they're doing. And so again, with a lot of our partners, if they have, you know, a company that's doing really great things, we are more than happy to showcase them on our platforms too.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Katie. The third thing we've got here is legal blog topics. So again, maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, we've got a new blog post up, and these again cover different areas of law that a small business owner might encounter. So it's worth poking around in there and seeing if there's anything that sticks out for you. And the fourth thing that I'm going to talk about today is Goodlawyer Pro. So this is our new subscription service that we have launched at the beginning of November, which gives you unlimited 15-minute advice sessions. Actually, let me just jump to the next slide. Here we go. So Goodlawyer Pro features, you get unlimited 15-minute advice sessions. We've got some exclusive discounts from some of our partners. Those are on different things like bookkeeping, annual corporate returns, business cards, that kind of stuff. We've got some discounts that different business owners could use. The third perk here is we have a Slack community of all the pros. So it's just another Slack community of business owners kind of mingling, asking each other for help, sharing stories, finding their next client, etc. And finally, we have a growing library of vetted templates. So these are things you might need for your annual corporate maintenance, meeting minutes, templates, etc., things like that. So with no further ado, I will actually start the demo. So this is the website. As you can see here, there's quite an extensive nav menu up here. So under services, you can click on any one of these services and you'll get a description of the service with some prices, etc. This is the pricing page I was talking about earlier. So you can see here, these are all the really basic common services for most small businesses. And we've got them all priced upfront right here. You can book them directly from this page. You can find a little more info about all of them. You can download a product sheet with some frequently asked questions and stuff about all of them. So it's pretty robust. There's a lot of information in here for small business owners. The next tab here.
Can I just ask one question?
Of course.
You've got legal fee and service fee for each of these.
That's right.
So just breaking it down, can I assume that the legal fee is the lawyer providing their legal advice and set, you know, whatever else they need to do. The service fee is a logistical fee for administration.
That's right. The fee is, you know, that's our Goodlawyer fee that we charge people for using the platform.
Oh,
so,
I see. Okay,
exactly.
that makes sense. Okay.
Yep.
So it's basically a fifth of the cost.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, then here we've got the practice areas. So again, it's a bit of a higher level information here. So if you're not really sure which practice area you need help in, or you think it might be intellectual property, but you're not sure, you can visit any one of those pages and get a little bit more info about the typical services in that practice area. This tab right here, the resources tab, this is probably one that's going to interest people the most. So here is where you can see, you can access our blog. You can see a comparison page of how Goodlawyer compares to traditional law firms. But I really want to highlight this events page. So this is the page where we list all of our webinars. So you can see all of our upcoming webinars right here. And you can link directly to them and register and find out a little bit more about the webinar here. Then on our YouTube page here, we've actually got recordings of all of our previous webinars. So for example, Sheila, if you're looking for a little more info about contracts, you can check out our YouTube page here and find one of our contracts webinars. Then finally here, Goodlawyer Pro. So this is the sales page where you can find all of the information about Goodlawyer Pro, all of the perks, and a bit more of a description of why you would want to use it. But I'm just going to show it to you guys and show you the proof is in the pudding. So I'm just going to log in here. Do you have a question, Sheila?
No, sorry, that was me. I was going to say, additionally, just back on the previous page, if you're finding that even all the information that we're giving, you're still not really sure what legal area you need or what kind of lawyer to talk to, we have a legal concierge. So it's kind of a nice little service. It's completely free, and you can just chat with our legal concierge and he'll pair you with the right person. So also takes that stress off of our business and so small startups.
So are you saying, Katie, that your concierge is not a robot?
Not a robot, it's a real person.
Okay.
I know.
Okay, so when you sign up for Goodlawyer Pro, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. So from here, you can directly see the different perks of being a Goodlawyer Pro. So you can access our library, you can join the Slack space, but this is the main one. You can talk to a lawyer for free. So I'm just going to walk you through the booking funnel and show you how easy it is to actually set up a meeting with a lawyer. So I'm going to click book now. I've hired a couple lawyers before, so these guys are showing up, but new pros, you're not going to have that option. You're just going to hire a new lawyer. So it's going to ask you where you are. Obviously, we're in Alberta. Select a practice area. So again, if you're not sure, you can select any one of these practice areas and it'll give you a little description here to show you if this is indeed the right area for you to be picking. So I'm going to go general business. I'm going to continue. And then here you can see the schedule. So you can pick which time you want, and these numbers here will show you how many lawyers are available at that time. Once you select your time, it'll show you the lawyers available. We've got reviews. So every lawyer here gets reviewed by their customers. Any customer can leave a review about the lawyer. So this especially is a pretty major upgrade on the traditional model. It's really hard to find reviews about actual lawyers instead of, you know, the law firm in general. So people have really loved this, and the lawyers have also really liked it. So you can see some lawyers. I'm interested in Shubham here, so let's click Shubham. We can see his profile, read a little bit more about him, and we can actually come in here and see some of his previous customers' reviews. So we can read all the reviews. We're content with Shubham, so let's continue with him. Here I can enter my question. So again, if you're not really sure how to phrase it, you're not sure what to say, we've got an example of a pretty decent question right here that you can try to, you know, emulate with your own problems. We've also got some pointers, things to keep in mind, just to really help you get the most out of your 15-minute advice session. We'll get a little review page here. So it'll show me again, this is the time I selected, this is the phone number I've entered, and this is the question that I submitted for Shubham. I'll hit continue. Like I said, advice sessions are free for Goodlawyer Pros, so this will automatically show $0. Check off the retainer. So this retainer, what this does is it establishes lawyer-client confidentiality between you and your lawyer. So that's why we have the retainer here. If anyone's curious, you can actually click on retainer and read it in full, but it's just a lot of jargon. So.
Hang on, that's not what you should say. Everyone should read the retainer. That's a legal advice right there.
Well, my advice is that we've been very specific in writing this retainer, and I can assure you that it's an honest and fair agreement. No one's getting the raw end of the deal on anything here. But,
okay, and
like I said, the sole purpose of the retainer is to protect your confidentiality. So
yeah, which is appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just look at this now. You said, of course, it's zero charge because you've signed up for the $49 a month. If you haven't, if you're a one-time user or a initial user, it's going to be, can you remind me how much that is for 15 minutes?
It's going to be $39. But at the end of this presentation here, we're going to give you guys a coupon so you can all try a 15-minute advice session for free for your first time.
All right, even better.
With that being said, also, since we just launched Goodlawyer Pro this month, we're going to give our first 100 subscribers their first month of Goodlawyer Pro completely for free. So, you know, if you think that you might need to talk to a lawyer a couple times a month, I encourage you to just get right into the Goodlawyer Pro and sign up for Pro and start trying free advice sessions. If you're not sure, then try the coupon, book a free 15-minute call, and you know, I'm relatively confident that you're going to want to sign up for Pro after you try a free advice session. So we'll continue. So now my service is booked. Okay, I can go to my dashboard, and here I can see that I have this ongoing service with Shoebone. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Whether you're booking an advice session or a contract review or a larger fixed fee service, the booking process is largely the same. For contract review, at the end of the booking process here, all you have to do is upload your document, and that's really the only difference. Can
I assume that the timing, it's in mountain time? Does your software automatically assess where you are located?
Yes, that's correct. So the time zone automatically adjusts to wherever you are.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that brings me to the end of the demo. Like I said, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Any questions?
How long have you been in business?
So we started in 2018 is when the company really launched, and we started building a product. At this time, Brett was still at the firm, so he was kind of building Goodlawyer off the side of his desk. I was still in school, so I was also, you know, designing some things kind of off the side of my school desk. And our CTO, Parker, was actually the only guy who was here full time. So he was coding like a madman for a few months, and we launched the platform in about March of 2019. When we started the platform, it was a back and forth quoting system. So people would come, they would make a request, and then our lawyers would send them a quote for the work. But this proved problematic for a few reasons. First, most people didn't know what legal help they actually needed, so it was really hard for them to submit a request. Second, there was just a lot of volleys back and forth between like submitting a request, your lawyer sending a quote, you accepting your quote, etc. There was just too many steps. And finally, people were not really that disposed to dropping, you know, $700 for a legal service on a platform they've never heard of. So in January of this year, actually, we completely pivoted the platform and relaunched, focusing exclusively on those legal advice sessions and those contract reviews. So we really lowered the barrier to entry for people. So spending $40 on a website is a lot more palatable than spending 500 plus. And beyond that, it was really good education. People were having these 15-minute calls because they thought they might have a legal issue, and they would talk to a lawyer and they would get some pretty robust advice on their actual legal issue and the actual things they needed to do or not do, etc. So with those services, we started reintroducing these larger fixed fee services because people would do their advice session or they would do their contract review, and then they would realize that they had this other larger follow-on legal need. So that's kind of why we've started reintroducing these fixed fee services, the upfront prices, etc. So I would say, yeah, Goodlawyer has started in 2018, but Goodlawyer was reborn in January of this year. So I really count all our traction as being from 2020.
That's awesome. So how many people do you have subscribing right now? You can approximate.
Yeah, so like I said, we're trying to get to 100 early access subscribers in November, and I think we're up to about 60 already in the last few weeks. So
getting there.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there for sure. So sign up quick now.
Well, yeah, 40 to go. Yikes.
And beyond that too, I also want to stress that there's no obligation. So if you sign up for Good Lawyer Pro and you're doing your free month and you decide you don't like it and you don't want to continue with Good Lawyer Pro, you can cancel at any time and we won't charge you anything. So you can get that first month completely free.
Okay, so it truly is a month to month with
It's
cancellation at any time. Okay.
That's right. It's a month to
it's
month with
very
a cancellation at any time. And when you cancel, say you've been on Good Lawyer Pro for 4 months and you decide you want to cancel, we'll actually refund you your last paid month. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay, so you guys are very honorable, clearly.
I mean, that's definitely one of the major problems in the legal industry right now is just the general pricing, confusion around pricing. It's not very transparent. People get hit with surprise fees. So yeah, that's definitely one of our pillars at Good Lawyer is honest, fair, upfront pricing.
And that's what I like about how you've broken down the cost, you know, the estimated cost for everything, and putting those in, I think is very helpful for small businesses. So if, say, I had a memorandum of understanding that we're developing into a template for a team of consultants working together, where would that fit? I assume that you've got somewhere in there that would fit with that type of advice that could be such as reviewing a draft legal document
Absolutely.
that has been, you know, sort of cobbled together by people that think they know what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be the perfect
me.
place for a contract review. So if you guys
Yep.
have the contract template that you want to make sure works for your needs and your entire consulting agency, you could put that through a contract review with a lawyer and they'll be more than capable of giving you some advice and some feedback on if there's things you missed or things that you don't need to include, etc. Contract review, that's the place to go for you.
Okay, and so you do have some lawyers that I didn't see if there was an identification, because there's lawyers who specialize in product review, product launch, for example, identifying IP, registering IP, and you know, all of those sorts of mechanisms, because quite often we're working with startups where they're working out what do they need to do, and of course they want to jump in and just, you know, fly, but it's protecting your IP, ensuring that your IP hasn't already been taken by someone else, but all of those are sort of stumbling blocks that one can come across. Do you have any sort of any lawyers that are specialized in the startup, or do we need to sort of dig through and say, okay, it's this is the element that we need to have support on?
Yeah, no, we definitely have lawyers who specialize in startups. If anything, I'd say that's kind of our bread and butter is lawyers who specialize with startups and small businesses. Yeah.
It's also that like a lot of the lawyers we do have on the platform are small business owners themselves. Like they're running their own like personal firms. So they actually know what that experience like too firsthand. So I think that's been really helpful for a lot of our startups that are coming to us.
That's a very good point. Yes, so they can relate and it becomes a little bit more personal, because, you know, because that is the scary part. And particularly when you are a startup, you don't have much money. You're probably relying on your own resources and perhaps a grant, you know, from Alberta Innovates or somewhere. So it can be a real challenge, you know, particularly there that, you know, it's tempting to just keep forging ahead without consulting a lawyer, because as you say, I think that's one of the biggest gaps that we have between legal aid and being able to pay the big bucks.
Absolutely, yeah. So to give some context into what you're saying, I'm not sure if you've heard of Clio, but Clio is this massive legal tech company. They're for lawyers. So what they do is they help lawyers kind of with their practice and their practice management software. They're not customer facing at all. They're completely marketing towards lawyers and stuff like that. But they spend a ton of money every year doing their Clio Legal Trends Report, where they just do a ton of market research. And year after year after year after year, they're showing that over 3/4 of all legal problems in North America are going completely unhelped by a lawyer, because lawyers are expensive, they're scary, they're slow to get back to you, just a whole litany of reasons. But you know, the end result is that 3/4 of the population is not getting their legal needs addressed for one reason or another. And that's really where Good Lawyer is trying to come in. Like, that is just a massive, massive issue for society as a whole. And we really want to help correct that.
That is great. And it's good to know who your target market is. And that
Absolutely.
fits with a lot of Resource YYC members and with a number of my colleagues, actually.
Yeah, we actually had I mean, it's a funny horror story, but it's not that funny for the guy. But about a month ago, we had someone who did a 15-minute advice session, and he was just blown away. He said it was so great, this and that. And he ends up telling us that a couple weeks before that, he had a question for his lawyer. So he's got this big firm on retainer that he gets to do some of his legal work every once in a while. And he called his lawyer. He talked to him for about 20 minutes, asked him a couple questions, got his answers, this and that. It was all done, good to go. And the next morning, he wakes up to an email in his inbox for a $240 bill for talking to this lawyer for 20 minutes. And it's like, that is the problem right there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that is why everyone then feels burned and they're not going to follow up.
exactly. And the whole thing about Good Lawyer Pro is you can get those calls with your lawyer anytime for free, because we recognize too that people are going to need larger services than just these free calls. And getting these free calls will give them answers. It will give them peace of mind, and it will actually it'll change their mentality about working with lawyers and hiring lawyers. So yeah, so far it's been super successful. The 60 people more or less who are on Good Lawyer Pro already have had pretty much nothing but good things to say about it. So we're really excited to see where it goes.
That is awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom, for the advice, and Katie, and for Resource YYC. I hope that our members can benefit from knowing more about Good Lawyer and this obviously helpful service.
Me too. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure, and we're always happy to take more questions too from anyone who has questions left. You can contact either me or Katie. It's just tom@goodlawyer.ca or katie@goodlawyer.ca. We're happy to take any questions.
Thank
And
you.
was there a promo code you said?
Oh, that's right. You got me. The promo code is Innovation Week. So just go through that booking process. At the very end, it'll show you your bill. It'll ask you for a coupon, and it's just one word, Innovation Week. Here, let me do this again here. I'll share my screen. So there you go.
100% off your first legal advice session.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yes, my pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for reminding me.